In this lecture, I'm going to give you a really important, really useful technique for doing well in the reading test. And it's called skimming and scanning. Now, here is what you may have to read in the Ielts reading test, at least for the academic test. Here you've got 3 texts from the academic Ielts. For general training, you will have 5 or 6 much shorter texts, but for both you're going to have to read something like 2,500 words, which is a lot. Remember, you have 60 minutes to do the Ielts reading test. You have to answer 40 questions as well. So you do not have time to read these texts word for word. There's too much to read, and I can give you a much more effective technique. And what I'm going to give you is this 3-step technique. So step 1, you skim the text. You skim read. Step 2, you look at the questions. And step 3, you scan. You scan the text for the answers. So basically, you're not going to read the text as you normally would. You're first of all going to skim read, then you're going to look at the questions, and then you're going to scan the text for the answers. So step 1 is skim read. Now, skim reading is not fast reading or speed reading. It's a very deliberate, very specific strategy. And what you've got to do when you skim read is your task is to find out, first of all, what is the topic of the text. So what is the text about? And secondly, what is the topic of each paragraph? So what is each paragraph about? And you're basically going to try and to build kind of like a bird's eye view of the text. A sort of very high up view of the text. Basically so you can see where everything is. You're kind of trying to build a map of the text so you know what's in each paragraph, what each paragraph is about, and what the text is about. Now here's an example text. William Henry Perkin. This is about a British scientist. And if I zoom in a bit, how do we skim read this text? Well, there's several things you can do. First of all, you can look for the headings in the text. Now this text has only got 2 headings. Here's the main heading and the subheading, the man who invented synthetic dyes. Synthetic dyes. So that tells you something about the text. You might have more headings in another text, but you can also look for the topic sentence. This will help you find out what each paragraph is about. And the topic sentence is basically the first sentence in each paragraph, and it often gives you an idea of what each paragraph is about. So this says, William Henry Perkin was born on March the 12th, 1838, in London, England. So you know that this is an English person. You know when he was born. You could possibly guess that this first paragraph is going to be about his early life. You can also look for keywords. Keywords are important words, important content words, often names of places or names of people, which again give you a clue as to what the whole paragraph is about. So you'd have to do this very quickly. It's not an exact science. You just have to guess what's important. So this says, as a boy. Let's have a quick look through. Chance stumbling upon. Laboratory. Enthusiasm for chemistry. I think that's important. So you have to have a guess as to what you think is important. So I know now that this first paragraph is about William Henry Perkin, It's about his early life as a boy and that he was enthusiastic about chemistry. So I haven't read the whole paragraph. So now I'm going to zoom back out and I can show you how you would do this for the whole text. So basically, you read the first sentence of each paragraph, the topic sentence, and then you very quickly scan for keywords in the paragraph. And then you do the same with all of the paragraphs in the text. You read the topic sentence and then quickly scan for keywords. So here I've pulled out some names of people, name of a college. Read the first paragraph, read the first sentence, the topic sentence, scan for keywords. Read the topic sentence, scan for keywords, read the topic sentence, scan for keywords. And what I will have done by skim reading, and you can use a highlighter on the reading text as well to help you do this, when you finish skim reading, you will have a map of the text. You will have an idea what the text is about, and you will have a good idea what each paragraph is about. And that will help you when you answer the questions. So in step 2, you look at the question, you analyze the question. Here's an example set of questions for this same text. True, false, not given. And here is the question for number 1. Michael Faraday was the first person to recognize Perkins' ability as a student of chemistry. What are the key words here? What are the most important words here? Well, I think Michael Faraday is a very important word. Keywords are often names. Was the first I think the first person as well is a key word. I think that's important. To recognize Perkins' ability as... Yes, I think recognize Perkins' ability as well is keywords. So who was the first person to recognize Perkins' ability? Was it Michael Faraday? So now, let's find the answer. And in step 3, you need to scan the text for the answer. So here we have the question on the left. Remember, it's a true, false, not given question. And the text on the right. So Michael Faraday, first person, recognize. Recognize, can you think of a synonym? Maybe see, saw, Perkins' ability. So let's have a look. Here's Michael Faraday. Okay, so the answer to the question is possibly around here somewhere. You need to look around that particular keyword. So Michael Faraday, eminent scientist Michael Faraday at the Royal Institution. Those speeches fired the young chemist's enthusiasm further. And he doesn't say anything about recognizing Perkins' ability. It made Perkins enthusiastic. But so maybe it's not given. But before we write down not given, let's look above Michael Faraday. His talent and devotion. And now talent is a synonym of ability. His ability, his talent and devotion to the subject were perceived is a synonym of recognize by his teacher Thomas Hall. So Thomas Hall was the first person to recognize Perkins' ability because he perceived Perkins' talent. And I assume he was the first person because it was at school. So it was Thomas Hall. So actually the answer is not given. The answer is false because it was Michael Hall who was the first person to perceive Perkins' ability, not Michael Faraday. Okay, so I've written down the answer on the answer sheet. So there you are. That's how you do it. You skim read, you look at the question, you analyze the question, and then you scan the text for the answer. You do not read word for word as you normally would. That's the strategy I always recommend students to follow: skimming and scanning.